Modeling is an important stage of Blender because it will allow you to animate, render, and texture your upcoming 3D object. This may seem confusing, but it's actually all quite simple. Here are a few basic modeling tools that will allow you to create what you're trying to make. Alright, let's begin. Notice the camera, the cube, and the lights in the view screen. To select an individual item, simply right-click. Notice that when you right-click, the object turned orange. This is to say that the item has been selected. If you want to pick more than one object, simply just hold Shift and right-click on the next object. Also, see that the last chosen object has a brighter shade of orange than the other one. This is just to say that it was the last thing to be selected. Now if you want to select everything, you can just press on A for all on the keyboard. And you can press A again to turn everything off. Congratulations, you've probably just mastered the basic selection. Alright, now we're going to look at how to change and modify the cube. There are three basic tools to do this. These are grab, scale, and rotate. You can either do this with the manipulators or the hotkey. These are the manipulators, and they will let you see what you're doing to your object. Notice how the cube has a red, green, and blue line. These are the directions that the cube can go in. Your manipulator should already start with the arrows. This means you'll be able to grab it and move it in any direction. The curves mean that the object can be rotated along the X, Y, and Z axis, while the squares mean that object can be scaled to any size along the same axis. All you have to do is click and hold on the red, blue, or green line and move it along and release when you are satisfied. If you want more freedom of movement, then you can click in the small white circle in the middle to move, scale, or rotate it in any way you want. While if you want to get more precise and move it directly along the axis like this, then you would like to click G for grab and press X, Y, and Z depending on the axis you wish to move it on. If you want a faster way, then you may use the hotkeys. Don't worry about how hard remembering the hotkeys might be, because Blender keeps them pretty simple. The commands are S for scale, G for grab, and R for rotate. Pretty easy, as the key is just the first letter of the word. Now, say that you want another mesh exactly the same as the one you just have. Just hold Shift and press D for duplicate. This will automatically put you in grab mode, in which you can place the mesh's duplicate anywhere in the view screen. Just click the mouse when you want to place it, like so. If you want to get rid of it, then you can select the entire object with right click and click Delete or X on your keyboard. Now you can pause this video and mess around with it for a while until you understand it more. You may realize that when you select the cube, you are changing the entire object. In Blender, the mesh is made of smaller meshes called vertices, edges, and faces. Now if you look down here near the manipulators, you will see it says Object Mode. This means that it is taking the object as a whole. Click on this and change it into Edit Mode. You may also just press Tab on your keyboard to go between one another. This will allow you to choose single vertices, edges, or faces without selecting the entire mesh. These work just like normal objects, so if you want to select more than one, you just have to hold Shift and right-click on the point you want to select, and remember that you can deselect by shift-clicking again on an already highlighted point. Also, while in edit mode, you may need to use the box tool. This can be used by using Ctrl B for box. This will allow you to click and drag a box around a section of your mesh. The area inside the box will then become selected. Holding Shift when you click will deselect the objects inside the box. You can change these bits using the S, G, and R command, just as you can change the entire cube before. Now there is one more tool that I will show you. This is the Extrude tool. Blender uses a lot of tools to create what you want, but Extrude is probably one of the most important, as it may be used commonly. Pressing E for Extrude lets you extrude a shape into an extension like this. It is suggested that you become comfortable with this tool as you will be using it a lot more often. The last thing you need to know is that the cube is not the only mesh you can use, so I'm going to delete this weird thing by pressing X or delete and then scroll over to the Add in the mini bar at the top. You may also access this menu by using Ctrl A to add a new mesh. For this tutorial I will use the UV sphere. Now that we have our chunky ball, we can select a bit of it, other than like all of it, in object mode. Now notice when I try to delete something, it comes up with more options than just the basic delete all. Since edit mode makes the mesh consist of smaller vertices, edges, and faces, clicking delete will let you choose if you want to delete the vertices, the edges, or the faces. Since this part was pretty long, it may benefit you that you go back and practice what you just learned.